Welcome to Game of Roses. It's Friday, May 31st. Even though we're in the off-season, a lot has been going on this week around the nation and beyond. I'm going to cover it all for you right here. Before we get to any of it, though, before we get into the meat of the show, we do have a bit of business. And you may notice that Pace Case is not with me. She is traveling today, so I'm going to be holding it down solo. Of course, we need those screeners. That is the first order of business. We are trying to get screeners of the upcoming Bachelorette Season 21 starring Jenn Tran so that we might be able to do some live events on Monday nights here in the Los Angeles area. So if anybody out there has any access to screeners or knows anybody who might be able to help us get them, please DM us, email us, however you can contact us, please do so with that info. I'm hopeful that we can do some pretty interesting stuff on Monday nights if we can just get those screeners. I should also mention that we're now on YouTube. If you're just listening to this, you can go to YouTube, look up Game of Roses. Every one of these shows is out on YouTube. And if you want to get them a little earlier, you can sign up on our Patreon at patreon.com/Game of Roses. You'll get all these video episodes the morning they come out. You will also get access to Clues Corner, where I'm now watching The Matchmaker on CW with Nick Vial, Patty Stanger, and I'm also watching The GOAT on Amazon, which is turning out to be an interesting show. I don't think it is quite living up to the promise of really showing us who is the greatest reality star of all time, but it's a good attempt. I will give it that much. And I do think that it is potentially laying the groundwork for a way better show that could come if they can just put a little bit of effort into changing it, possibly. Also on our Patreon, you get our Digging Deepers, where we go through every other week. We go through the past 2 weeks of everything that has come out in the Bachelor Nation podcast world of importance, so you don't have to sift through it all. We put together the best clips, and then Lizzie and I talk about them and analyze them. All of that stuff is available on our Patreon, and you get ad-free episodes. Every episode ad-free. So if that's of interest to you, again, go to patreon.com/Game of Roses. Oh yeah, and you can get it on our Discord, where you can upload your scream from the pit, which we play right here on this show. You're going to be hearing one of those at the end of this show. Now, thank you for indulging my business. Let's move on to Game of Roses. State of the game. All right, so I came across an article this week called Why Reality TV is on Life Support. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. It's written by Katie Kilkenny and Leslie Goldberg, and I wanted to read this entire article, which I think is important. It's worth hearing. Maybe it'll take 5 minutes or so to get through this, so bear with me. But then I want to react to it as well, because I think there's some interesting points brought up. But again, the title of this is Why Reality TV is on Life Support, and that seems to fly in the face of everything we're seeing with all these third-wave shows being produced by literally every streamer now. It seems like there are more reality shows, so why would this article be titled as such? So I'm just going to go through it and then react to it. Here we go. It says, Why Reality TV is on Life Support. Development and production have been sluggish since the strikes, leaving the desperate workers in the lurch. All of a sudden, the faucet was just turned off, and that's a quote by somebody. Veteran, and here's the meat of the article. Veteran unscripted producer Wendy Miller was attending a gathering for women over 40 in unscripted television who are unemployed when she had the idea. Though the get-together could easily have turned maudlin, one woman brought levity to the proceedings by telling a story about working on a past show that cracked up the whole room. Miller envisioned a storytelling event akin to The Moth, where reality TV workers could share outrageous career tales to a paying audience, thus raising money for needy peers. Quote, all of us are unemployed and have no money, but there are people who are way worse. What if we use this as an opportunity to raise money for someone who's really in dire straits? Miller pitched the group. The ensuing, quote, Hollywood Horror Happy Hour, the tagline, We're all broke, let's laugh about it, which took place May 21st, was just one sign of the times in the nonfiction TV business. Jobs are scarce, budgets are crunched, workers are considering jumping ship, and executives seem terrified to take creative risks on untested concepts. This has come as a surprise to some insiders in the space. There was an initial expectation that the 2023 actors and writers strike would accelerate activity in reality TV, which boomed during the 2007-2008 writer's strike, but many say the opposite occurred. Even though nonfiction, being relatively cheap to produce and largely non-union, is a natural stopgap for entertainment companies during work shutdowns. For the waiting workforce, development and production hadn't picked up much since then. Quote, I've worked in this industry for 20 years, and all of a sudden the faucet just turned off, says producer Patrick Caliguri, Naked and Afraid, American Idol, who has posted multiple times on his TikTok since March about the struggles of entertainment workers. His first post, emblazoned reality TV is dead, took off on LinkedIn, racking up over 2,000 likes and nearly 300 comments. Quote, it's not just people who just moved to LA to get into the business that can't find jobs, adds one veteran reality TV producer. It's somebody who's been working for 25 years and has a resume that I would kill for who's saying they haven't had work in a year. Many veteran unscripted producers and sellers who asked to remain anonymous in a bid to protect future sales say the downturn is mirroring what's happening in the scripted TV space as budgets there too are being squeezed across the board, and especially on broadcast. Unscripted shows, which historically have been cheaper to make and faster to produce, are feeling the same fiscal pinch as their scripted counterparts as media companies right-size their slates and spending. Quote, it's the same problem as scripted, and it's really depressing, says one veteran reality TV executive. The overall contraction in M&A have also meant fewer buyers and for unscripted fare. Max, for example, no longer has its own unscripted department after incorporating Discovery's vast portfolio of programming into the streamer. Quote, at the legacy companies, you have a massive fiscal pressure going on. Just look at the stock prices. Those are the traditional buyers. It's the same reasons you've seen in scripted just leading to unscripted as well, says one longtime seller. Budgets for the shows that are being greenlit, meanwhile, are getting slashed, which is trickling down to affect the salaries that are being offered, according to sources. Some particularly noteworthy examples have made the rounds in online reality communities. One longtime reality producer who says seasoned story producers used to be able to make $2,800 a week shares a job posting starting May 31st and offering $350 to $450 a day, which amounts to $750 to $2,250 a week. A story producer sends a screenshot of a job starting in January that offered $1,800 to $2,200 a week for the same role. Quote, unfortunately, there's a lot more supply than demand right now when it comes to available workers, adds the veteran reality TV producer. As a result, everybody's Scrooge McDucking it. More than ever, unscripted insiders say buyers are risk-averse and relying on bets that are considered to be safe. What is working right now? The big franchises are still being greenlit, and that's both the big IP, Deal or No Deal, MasterChef, Lego Masters, and franchises like Below Deck and The Housewives. This is, someone said this, who is overseeing 9 production companies across the United States and Brazil. New stuff has to be thoughtful and have a reason why it's going to be bought. Fresh sports-related ideas have been especially welcomed in the wake of the popularity of Netflix's Formula One Drive to Survive series, which has been credited with raising viewership of races in the United States. Insiders note that LeBron James and Maverick Carter's production shingle Spring Hill has been a standout seller during this time, with 3 upcoming sports documentaries for the History Channel and an upcoming docuseries for Vice TV announced just in the past few months. Game shows, too, are prospering amid the overall nonfiction slowdown. Titles like Fox's The Floor and The Quiz with Balls, both shows that debuted in 2024, can be done on a budget and earn impressive ratings numbers, explains one 20-year unscripted veteran. And they repeat, too, this person says. People forget questions and rewatch. They're easy to put on and rewatch. I'm going to kind of cut this short, but it basically goes on to say that these big IPs are the only things happening, and that new shows are not getting bought, and that they're not really taking risks on kind of new ideas. Now, I personally think that this is because of a few things. The biggest one is that the streamers are hitting kind of the end phase of their initial growth cycles. Everybody remembers when the streamers first came out. Netflix was the first one. We had never had technology like this. And so everybody was fast to jump aboard that ship. I need to get my Netflix account. I'm going to start streaming, et cetera, et cetera. Then everybody starts popping off with their streamers. I think the next one was maybe Hulu. I don't remember the order they came out, but now every studio basically has a streamer with few rare exceptions. So the market, the eyeballs, the subscribers that you're trying to get as a streamer, that is a finite number of people. And at this point, you have, I think, basically complete saturation of that market. Everybody who is going to subscribe to a streaming service or multiple streaming services, they have already made that commitment. They have made that choice. So there's no real new revenue coming in, which means in the beginning, when they were like, oh my God, we're making money hand over fist, it's okay to spend more money on budgets for shows. Now, network TV is a little different. They're not like streamers. Network TV gets their revenue from ad sales, the commercials that are basically in your TV shows. And the ad rates are based on how many people in the market share, the 18 to 49-year-old demographic, are watching your show at whatever time it's on, whatever night of the week it's on. Those numbers across the board, because of streaming, have just been going off a cliff. They go down literally every year. Network television ratings go down. So the amount of money that they're getting from advertisers is also going down, which means the amount of money they can spend on any shows, reality, scripted, whatever, also goes down. All that said, the writing's on the wall. Network TV will eventually die. It will become a place for live sports and maybe reality TV, but I don't even think that, because all of the networks also have parent studio companies that own streamers. And eventually all that content will wind up there. So the real question is not why is network TV not greenlighting enough reality TV or as much reality TV, but it's the streamers. When you look at a place like Netflix, who's putting out Love is Blind, Perfect Match, The Circle, all the kinetic stuff basically, and those shows do very well for them, and they actually do put some money into them. You can see it on screen. Why would they not be buying as much reality TV? It's back to that first thing that I said, the saturation of the market. Netflix is not getting new subscribers. And so you're not, and neither is Amazon, neither is Hulu, neither are any of these places. Because again, whoever wanted to sign up for them has signed up for them. And so to get more money, to make their profit increase, what do they have to do? Two things. One, charge more money for their streaming service, which Netflix does every couple of years. Or two, put ads in your show so that you're now getting a revenue model more similar to what network TV used to be. And you're seeing that in Amazon. I just got my first Amazon ads a couple of weeks ago. They're just in there now. And I think you have to pay even more money now to get it without ads. And so all of these streaming services now have these two-tiered things where it's you can pay a certain amount of money and get ads, or you can pay even more money and not get ads. And in some cases, they still show you the ads anyway, even if you are paying them more money. So I think that's where it's at. The streamers are now entering kind of the second phase of their growth cycle, which is, okay, we're not getting any new subscribers, so how do we continue to make the profits go up? So not only is it raising the amount of money that people have to pay to watch your stuff, and putting ads in it, it's also cutting budgets. So how much can you really make this reality show for? Do you really need, $1 million an episode? Could you do it for $800,000 an episode? And if they can do that kind of a budget cut, like a 20% budget cut across all shows, reality and scripted, that's 20% profit. The people who run these companies only care about profit. They care about literally nothing else. And so any way they can make that happen, they're going to, which includes these budget cuts. And it also includes, I think, a slowdown of buying. I remember when I have sold many TV shows in my career to network and cable and all that stuff. And I remember in the early days when I first started selling TV shows, this is like right before 2010 maybe, a network like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, they would buy, just on the comedy side, 70 to 80 projects a year. And what that means is you would pitch them your idea and they would buy it. And that means they would pay you then to write the first episode. And then if they like the first episode, they would pay you to produce that first episode, the pilot. And then if they like how that turns out, they would order a series, an initial first series order, first season order, usually 10 episodes and or 13 episodes back in the day, I suppose. But that model isn't profitable for them anymore. They don't buy 70 or 80 shows. And that was just on the comedy side. Like I said, they also did this on the hour long. So you're looking at over 100 projects they would buy every year and develop, and they'd wind up putting maybe 2 or 3 of those to series on the air. Your odds were always very bad. But you could make a living by just simply selling the shows. I did that for many years. Sell the show, make a pilot, it goes, it doesn't go, whatever. But you still get paid throughout that process. And now, at least from what I've heard, I haven't sold a show in the last couple of years, but those numbers are drastically dwindled, especially at the network level. They just don't buy the same amount of projects. And I really do think that it's because these studios and the streamers, who in some cases are the studio, but Netflix is its own thing, they really are, I think, in a moment where they're having to figure out what is going on with the money. How much money can we actually now invest in creating new material? And again, they talk about in this article how most of these executives are very risk averse. So instead of trying out a brand new idea, they want something that could potentially be set up from another country. Like Traders is a great example. I believe it was UK first, and now there's a US version of it. So if it can be established somewhere else, and an executive can look at that and say like, well, it looked good over there, it worked. Maybe we should port it into the United States and let's try that. because most executives, their sole function is to divert blame if a project goes bad. So if it's like, oh, we put it on and it tanked immediately and we had to cancel it and it was a big mistake, as long as the executive can say, well, it worked in UK, this is a proven format, I don't know why it didn't work here, not my fault, they get to keep their job. And that's essentially how the entire entertainment industry works. But I don't know that the premise of this article is interesting to me, that reality TV is on life support. To print something like that, while at the same time, we are seeing every streamer make a third wave show off the back of traders. Amazon has The GOAT, which I'm covering in our Patreon. Special Forces is on Fox. You've got House of Villains is on, I don't know what that's on. And you've got Traders on Peacock. And you've got Netflix has a bunch of them too. They're everywhere. And I think all of these different streamers are looking for their third wave shows as well. So I think this title is slightly misleading, and it's more about, it's not reality TV's on life support. Clearly it's not on life support. There are millions of reality, not millions, but there's like massive reality TV shows everywhere. Golden Bachelor just had a great year. The ratings for Joey Grazieda's season of Bachelor were, comparatively speaking, through the roof. They're still on the downward slope, that trajectory, but they did much better than expected, and they kind of were a deviation from the downslope. So I think that the title of this is misleading. It's a little clickbaity, but what it's talking about in the article is real, that the budgets for these things are drying up and people have been out of work. I've heard this as well from, other people within the industry, agents and things that are like reality agents and trying to set up some of my own projects. Just hearing that like nobody's buying anything. And I just think that it is, again, a symptom of these streamers mainly being like, oh shit, our subscriber numbers aren't really moving. How do we make money? Or how do we trim the fat in some of the budgets? All that said, reality TV, I don't believe, is on life support or anywhere near it. I think we are in a renaissance of it where, yes, maybe fewer things are getting made and maybe they're getting made on smaller budgets. But some of the things that are being made, specifically Traders, I think is quite possibly the best reality television that we have ever seen. I just think that it's going that direction. I think all these third wave shows, people are going to start doing some really inventive stuff in third wave that I don't think we're even prepared for yet. And I'm hoping that it will crack reality TV in kind of a new direction so that we can see some things at a level of elevation that we haven't really seen yet. At least that's my hope. But I just thought this article was interesting because I had a few people DM it to me and I read it and I was like, well, like I said, there's some true things in here about people, having a hard time trying to find work in the reality industry right now, and scripted too. I mean, it's across the board, but that is true. But to say that reality TV is on life support, I just don't agree with that statement. At any rate, check out this article if you have time. I highly recommend reading the whole thing. I thought I was going to do it here, but it started getting a little long to me. Again, it's on Hollywood Reporter, and it is written by Katie Kilkenny and Leslie Goldberg, Why Reality TV is on Life Support. But that's the state of the game. And now we're going to move on to that portion of our program where we are talking about... What are you watching?
What are you watching?
Pace Case isn't here, so we can't ask her what she's watching. But as many of you know, I have been on a journey, an Outlander journey. So I get more DMs about this than I have gotten about anything. I think more DMs about the Outlander, yeah, I think than anything I've ever posted or said or anything on any of our channels. This show is wild. I don't really know how to explain it. I've completed season 1, and I don't want to give away spoilers even though the show's been on for 7 or 8 years. And I don't want to trigger anyone. There's some very triggering events that take place throughout the course of this. It is a fictional show, but there are some sexual assaults that occur. That's the easiest way to say it, I suppose. There's also a lot of sex in it that is consensual. Some people like that. The thing that has happened to me at the end of season 1 is this. I've started season 2. So season 1 all took place in the Scottish Highlands, and it's about this woman who time travels back from mid-1940s England into mid-1740s Scottish Highlands when the British Redcoats are trying to wipe out all of the Scottish landowners. She's married in 1945 to an English guy who was in the army. She also was in the army, and now she's back in 1740s, and she falls in love with a Scottish guy who is being persecuted by the ancestor of her husband from the 1940s, if you can follow this. And so she has to navigate this weird thing where she's falling in love with this Scottish guy, but she's looking at this British redcoat who looks exactly like her husband from the 1940s because they obviously share genetic legacy. So the first season was really good. Very dramatic. A lot of action. A lot of crazy things happening. The end of that season where the Scottish guy gets captured and thrown in a dungeon and the bad guy does some very bad things to him. It's insane that this was made into a TV show, in my humble opinion. That said, season 2 has begun, and I gotta say, the steam has been taken out of this. In season 2, they leave, they go to Paris, and they're now rich Parisians. They own like a wine factory or something. I'm just like, it's a different show, and it has completely lost me. That said, the first season was so jaw-dropping, I can simply say that I will continue to watch it. I feel very obligated to go through this entire show now. So I'm going to stay on my journey. I will be updating you as I go through season 2. But so far, bored out of my mind in season 2, and it seems like a completely different show and a way worse one. But that's it. That's what I'm watching. I hope whatever you're watching out there is more entertaining to you than Highlander season 2 has been to me. Now, we're going to move on to that portion of our program where I run down all of the most important news that has happened from around Bachelor Nation.
This is Bachelor Nation News.
First up, in Bachelor Nation news, Ali Fedotowsky has materialized. The 4th place Bachelor finisher from season 14 and the subsequent season 6 Bachelorette, Ali Fedotowsky Mano, has resurfaced after a brief and all too familiar sounding hiatus from social media. The former Bachelorette posted a short video to Instagram on May 25th in which she said, quote, "Hey everybody, I'm back. I've been off social media for a little bit. I'm happy to be back. I cannot wait to share what I just did. I have so many feelings about it. Crazy emotions around it. I honestly, mentally don't quite feel like myself right now because of it. I promise, as soon as I can share, I will. I just can't right now." Fedotowsky had been away from her Nashville home that she shares with her husband, civilian Kevin Mano, and their 2 kids. Earlier this month, Fedotowsky bid farewell to social media, captioning a post featuring her family, quote, "Signing off with a goodbye from these 2. And now I'm a blubbering mess. Won't have my phone for a while. And this will by far be the longest I've ever gone without speaking to my family. Thank you for holding down the fort and supporting me in this, at Kevin Mano. Don't get too used to the house being so clean while I'm gone. I'll be back to mess it up before you know it. Winky face, smiley face emoji. Love you." The timing of Mano's vanishing seems to coincide with Trista Sutter's disappearance, leading many in the nation, including Ashley Iaconetti, to speculate that both Fedotowsky and Sutter were shooting Special Forces World's Toughest Test. More on Trista's return to social media later. I tend to agree with this. I think in much the same way that we saw in Special Forces Season 2, it was a double Bachelor representation in Tyler Cameron and Nick Viall. I think we're going to get it again. I think we're going to have a double Bachelorette representation here with Trista Sutter, the godmother of all bachelorettes, and Ali Fedotowsky, one of the most well-known bachelorettes. And they better do us proud. They better win the championship, because so far, season 1, Hannah Brown, season 2, Nick Viall and Tyler Cameron, they all won. We got to keep that alive. Moving on. Next up in Bachelor Nation news, the Golden Nation is choosing sides. Golden Bachelor All-Stars and the hosts of Bachelor Happy Hour Golden Hour, Susan Knowles and Kathy Schwartz, made an appearance on SiriusXM's The Jess Cagle Show, where they revealed they're on Golden God Gary Turner's side in the divorce that rocked the nation only a few months ago. Susan said, quote, "I've got to support this man a little bit. I feel like he got the wrong end of it." Susan went on to say that Gary's ring winner, Teresa Nist, quote, "decided not to move and not to quit her job, which frustrated Gary." And then said, "Who can blame him? I mean, I would never have said I would move to that place, wherever that is in the middle of nowhere." Kathy backed up her co-host by saying, quote, Gary's a nice guy. Teresa's a lovely lady. You know, shit happens. Sorry, it does, and we like them both. You know someone for a month or 6 weeks, and things happen. Susan also weighed in with her take on why they got married so fast, saying, quote, I think they got caught up in the moment. We watched them fall in love. They bonded that first night on that date. It was real. So it seems like they're taking Gary's side here a little bit in the golden divorce that rocked the nation. Now, Susan here saying, I think they got caught up in the moment. Yes, technically, sure, they got caught up in the moment. They also got paid some amount of money that I'm guessing was a decent amount to get married on TV. So I don't even think it was that they just got caught up in the moment. I think they probably kind of knew there were some problems and that maybe it wouldn't work out. But ABC was like, we need this wedding on TV now. Will you do it? They got married in January. That show finished airing in what? November? So it was only 2 or 3 months until they had to get married on TV, get that paycheck. I think, personally, I think that's why they got married so quickly and why it didn't work out to some degree. Moving on. Tenley Molzan is in Bachelor Nation news this week for her second baby. The Bachelor Season 14 runner-up, Tenley Molzan, and her civilian husband, Taylor Leopold, have welcomed their second child, a daughter. Molzan broke the news via Instagram with a reel of her newborn, captioned, quote, we have a beautiful and healthy baby girl in our arms. More to come. Prayer hands or happy hands like this emoji. The text overlaid on the reel said, quote, she's here. Born May 23rd, 2024 at 9:48 p.m. Molzan and her husband were already parents to their 3-year-old daughter, Rel. Congrats to Molzan and her husband on this new addition to their family. We always like seeing our Bachelor players out there flourishing and adding to their broods. Next up in Bachelor Nation news, Abigail Heringer is an author. The Bachelor Season 25 Fimp Rose recipient and Bachelor in Paradise Season 7 survivor announced via Instagram this week that her new book, The Deaf Girl, a memoir of hearing loss, hope, and fighting against the odds, is currently available for pre-order with a release date in September of this year. Alongside pics of the book, Abigail wrote, quote, in 2021, many of you met me for the first time when I stepped out of the limousine in a quest for love. My introduction included a playful mention of my deafness, meant as a lighthearted pickup line, but it sparked a much-needed conversation about hearing loss in mainstream media. Since then, I've received numerous messages from people sharing their own experiences with hearing loss. Some reminded me of high school Abigail, unsure where she fit in, born deaf, but received a cochlear implant at a young age, placing her between two communities. Others echoed my mom's journey, navigating the world as a parent of 2 deaf daughters, filled with the fear of the unknown. There were those who, like my now fiance, that's young Noah Erb, wanted to learn how to be a supportive partner to someone with a disability, and many others who expressed the struggle with how to balance their disability with their personal identity. Over the course of the past 3 years, my mom and I have combined our experiences into this book. Mine of growing up with a disability and navigating life's challenges, and hers of raising 2 daughters with a shared disability and facing uncharted waters. Our goal is that the deaf girl can provide answers, comfort, and hope to those who need it. Congrats to Abigail Heringer on joining the prestigious ranks of players turned authors. Now we move on to Sydney Gordon, who is the subject of our next piece of Bachelor Nation news. She did an Instagram Q&A this week. Maria Georges' most prominent rival from Bachelor Season 28. Sydney took to Instagram and answered these questions, in which she revealed that she still receives negativity from the fourth audience. She shared a screenshot of someone spamming her account and all of her posts with hurtful emojis. Alongside the screenshot, Sydney said, quote, it's been a lot quieter. I am thankful people are following me and allowing me to show who I am, especially on TikTok. But also, if you're going to send someone hate because of reality TV or hate in general, my heart goes out to you because you're probably hurting yourself. This person wanted to go on a shit spree today, so we will let her have her moment, end quote. Sydney also posted a photo of the players from her season that she's closest with and wrote, quote, to be honest, we are all friends. These girlies in particular have gotten me through a pretty tough time during airing. I love them all so much and super thankful for them. We're thankful for you, Sydney. We can't thank you enough for shedding light on the toxicity that can arise in the fourth audience in response to irresponsible villain edits. And I just want to take a moment to tell everyone out there, if you're thinking of sending something negative to a player in The Bachelor or any reality show, or anyone for that matter, but specifically people on reality TV, just take a minute and don't send that message. If you're thinking about sending the bad one, saying something mean to them, just don't do it. It accomplishes nothing, and you don't know that person. Whatever you're seeing on reality TV is never real. It's always an edit. Even if it's a pretty truthful edit in terms of reflecting the events or a personality or whatever it may be, you're still not seeing the whole thing. You never will. So when you see somebody on reality TV and you think to yourself, that's a bad person, or I hate that person, you don't know that person. You don't even know how they were behaving in that situation in many cases, especially in the Sydney Gordon case. I think a lot was left on the editing room floor, specifically where Maria Georges is concerned. I'll just leave it at that and move on to our final piece of Bachelor Nation news. It involves Kenny Brash and Mari Pepin. They're on a honeymoon. BIP Season 7 survivors Mari Pepin and Kenny Brash have finally moved on from their wedding phase that included a wedding in Puerto Rico, a wedding celebration in Chicago, and a televised wedding on the beach during BIP Season 9, I think it was. And it seems that now they have moved on to the honeymoon phase in Cancun. Mari took to Instagram to share photos of the two of them spending time by the pool, enjoying romantic date nights, and snorkeling in the ocean. Alongside the pics, she wrote, "A postcard from Cabo. So far, having such a good time on our honeymoon. Can't wait to share more once we're back." And we can't wait to see all the parasocial plays that are going to come out of this thrice married couple. The only question that remains for me is how many honeymoons are they going to have? Will it be 3 to mirror the 3 weddings they had? Will we get a televised honeymoon on perhaps Bachelor in Paradise Season 10 next year? Because we're not getting it this year. We don't know. Nonetheless, congratulations to Mari and Kenny on their 3 weddings and so far on their 1 honeymoon. Now, it's time to move on to that portion of our program where I break down the top 5
the Parasocial play of the week.
As always, there's a ton of great parasocial plays from in and around the nation. That never stops, even though we're out of season. But that isn't for much longer. We got about a month left until Jenn Tran's season premieres in early July. Can't wait for it. Nonetheless, everybody's still out there making parasocial plays left and right. And these are the 5 best. Coming in at number 5, Kaitlyn Bristow's Butterfly Effect. The third place finisher from Bachelor Season 19 and subsequent Season 11 Bachelorette, Kaitlyn Bristow, posted an Instagram reel this week featuring herself sitting in a sauna and dancing as text on screen appears to detail the butterfly effect that changed her life as a result of her going on The Bachelor. As Bristow performs her seated sauna dance, the text reads, "My butterfly effect. If I didn't move to Vancouver on a scholarship for dance, I wouldn't have gotten a job at a certain restaurant, which is where I met the guy that I moved across the world for. If that guy didn't break my heart, I wouldn't have gone on The Bachelor. If I didn't go on The Bachelor, I wouldn't have learned some of the hardest lessons about myself, love, and navigating a lot of hate. Because I was so dark, I wanted a hobby, so I started podcasting, and I found a community of women who supported me. If I didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't have interviewed my next partner, who taught me a lot about myself and about business and about the business I was starting, Spade and Sparrows. Because of all these things that led me to the Bachelor world, I met Colton Underwood. He introduced me to Bunny's Buddies, where we rescued 2 angel dogs who helped me with anxiety. I may not be where I thought I'd be at 38, married with children, but this is proof that I'm always on the right path. I'm in a big-time reflection mode in the sauna, grateful for each phase. I am the most evolved version of myself, and I can't wait to see what's next." This reel raked in 30.4K likes and 374 comments. Kaitlyn Bristow's always doing the most out there. This is a great post. Highly recommend checking it out. It's a very nice sauna, too. She had another post where she, I think, was giving away one of these saunas. So if you're interested in getting a sauna for your house, maybe Kaitlyn Bristow can hook you up. Coming in at number 4, the pound-for-pound greatest host in the reality TV game, Alan Cumming, took to Instagram this week to post a 5-slide celebration of his tour of Paris with none other than LGBTQ icons Dylan Mulvaney and Alok Vaidmanin. The posts feature fun adventures around the City of Lights, complete with a shot of the Eiffel Tower in the background. Of a few of the posts, Cumming captioned the post, "He, she, they, fun and japes in the City of Light," with the gorgeous beacons of light that are at Dylan Mulvaney and at Alok V. Menon. The post has 28.1K likes and 598 comments. If you're not following Alan Cumming, by the way, I know that I constantly talk about how he's the best reality host, the best Dark Lord. If you're not following him on Instagram, you are missing a lot. He does so much there. His Parasocial plays are great. And now he's palling around with two internet icons who each have over 1 million followers, just casually in Paris, having a good time. It's absolutely fantastic what he is doing. Let's move on. Coming in at number 3, Trista Sutter also gave us some proof of life this week, just like Ali Fedotowsky did, in a single image posted to Instagram. The image, a shot of Sutter with her happy family on a beach holding snorkeling gear, served as the final piece of the puzzle that her husband, poet laureate of Bachelor Nation Ryan Sutter, inadvertently laid out last week in a series of cryptic posts that led the nation to wonder about his wife, the inaugural bachelorette's whereabouts, and personal safety. Next to this lovely family moment, Trista captioned it, "Geez, people, can't a girl have a nervous breakdown / trial separation / midlife crisis / death / divorce in peace around here?" Sideways, smiley face emoji, winking, smiley face emoji. In all seriousness, for those concerned, I'm safe and sound, happy and healthy, in love and grateful. Bashful heart face emoji. For those who'd rather focus on being critical and searching way too hard for darkness, good luck with that. Upside down smiley face and emoji. An opportunity for perspective and personal growth presented itself, and with the unconditional support of my family and friends, I chose myself and betterment, knowing that my stay-at-home mom job and my kids' end-of-the-school-year needs were in the best, most capable hands. My stoic husband, who usually chooses privacy over posting, decided to share his love for me in messages that would find me in my travels. We look at Instagram like a digital diary. Most of the time, the world doesn't pay too much attention. This time, he couldn't say anything right, and just about every news outlet picked up on his, quote, cryptic, confusing, attention-seeking, dramatic pictures and captions. To me, they gave me exactly what my words of affirmation, love language needed to get me through some serious self-doubt and fear. And that's all that matters. He doesn't owe anyone any explanation or require permission to post what he wants to post and share what he wants to share. 100% emoji. If you want to know the rest of the story, I will share in due time. For now, it's back to our regularly scheduled programming from a beach in Mexico. Mexican flag emoji, palm tree emoji, snorkeling emoji. After all, nervous breakdowns and separations require much needed rest and relaxation. Sunglasses faced emoji. The post that garnered 61.2K likes and 1,974 comments has led many to believe that she was with Ali Fedotowsky shooting season 3 of Special Forces World's Toughest Test, including Ashley Kennedy, I believe, believes that. But I think so too. I think she has too. But the way that she responds to this, it's so funny. I mean, it's long. It's definitely a long caption, but she's kind of like self-deprecating about it. She's poking fun at the people who thought that she was in jeopardy in some way. She's, kind of laying out that, yes, her husband might have overshared, but he doesn't need permission to do any of this. He can post what he wants. And it's the fourth audience, really, she's saying here, that has the problem. You guys need to look into this and calm down a little bit. Absolutely love these posts when players come back from whatever they've been shooting. But generally speaking, it's not a mystery like this, like it was with Trista and probably Ali. It's not kept under wraps in such a similar way. Like we all knew Jenn Tran is gone, or we know usually when bachelors and bachelorettes are shooting their season that, okay, they're going to be off social media. This is a different thing. This is third wave. And when you get conscripted into one of these third wave shows, not only can you not have your phone while you're there or post about it at all, you have to wait until they roll out the promotion of that season. So like right now, we don't even know who the cast is for Special Forces. And we won't know that until the official information is released by Fox. And so she has to wait until that moment to even say where she was. So it has to remain a mystery. But we all know it's Special Forces. Coming in at number 2, Bachelor Season 28 standouts Rachel Nance and Leia Kayanan teamed up for a joint reel celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islanders Month. In the video, the two superstars dance a traditional Hawaiian dance on the beach, along with a caption that reads, quote, "As Asian Americans who have recently stepped into the world of media, this month means everything and more to us. To be able to celebrate the identities, cultures, and stories of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders is something that empowers us, that connects us. Both of us were born and raised in Oahu, Hawaii, an island filled with community, love, and family. We are so proud of our roots and where we come from. As we share our stories and our cultures this month, we wanted to share ours with you. Enjoy this special project we've worked on, hoping to share a piece of our heart and home with you all. Io Mai, one of our favorite Hula Awana by, I'm going to do my best with the pronunciation here, Keali Rachel. The post generated 13.2K likes and 332 comments. It is absolutely mind-blowing when you see high-level players teaming up to do these joint posts, especially one like this that is in celebration of this month, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders month. And I absolutely loved this play. And it would have been our number one Parasocial play of the week, except for one other thing. Our number one Parasocial play of the week this week was Jenn Tran. Trista wasn't the only bachelorette offering the nation proof of life. Jenn Tran is back from shooting her upcoming historic season 21 of The Bachelorette, and she's posting again. Her first post back is a 6-slide offering featuring herself posing in front of a red brick wall, as well as enjoying some time in a booth at what looks to be a Warner Brothers event to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islanders Month. Tran captioned the post, quote, "Proof of life!" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exclamation points. Past couple of months have been crazy, but I'm back. I'm grateful, and it's only just the beginning. Double sparkle emoji. Also, just in time for a proper celebration of AAPI month. Heart hands emoji. Welcome back, Jenn Tran. We cannot wait for your journey to begin, and I absolutely loved this play. It was one of the best I'm back on the Instagram posts we have ever seen. Now let's move on to a parasocial play made by, yes, a person, but also some creatures. All the animals from Blake Moynes' trip to save the elephants in Africa is our Parasocial Creature of the Week. It's a 10-slide smorgasbord of all kinds of animals Moynes encountered while he was in Kenya visiting this elephant conservation group called Save the Elephants. He's got monkeys. He's got birds. And of course, he's got lots of elephants doing all kinds of stuff, laying down, taking naps, walking through rivers. Highly recommend going to check out this post, but also check out all of Blake Moynes' stuff. If you like animals, Moynes has got you covered. Congrats to Blake Moynes. He has been involved in several Parasocial Creatures of the Week for us here at Game of Roses, and this is just one more to add to his list. Now, let's move on to that portion of our program where I am going to delve deep into the darkest corners of the pit to issue forth my scream about how my fandom of The Bachelor has drastically altered my life. This is
Screams from the Pit!
Now, we saw Kaitlyn Bristowe make her butterfly effect post. I would say that in many ways, the screams from the pit are kind of our versions of butterfly effects in terms of how The Bachelor, our fandom of it, maybe the first time we ever saw it, or really it's, for me, the first time that Lizzie and I watched it together. That's when things started to change. That's when it went from, I'm casually watching this, to now it's a weekly thing. We're getting together every week. I'm taking all these pictures of my TV screen. I'm making these memes. That's when it really started to go off the rails for me. All that said, I don't think it would have happened had I not seen it that first season. So maybe that was the initial point of my journey into the pit, my initial butterfly effect. That said, my screen this week is where my pit butterfly effect has led me. I recently made a purchase of a DJI, Osmo Pocket 3 camera. It's a little like vlogging cam. I bought this specifically because I want to go into the world and drag people into the pit, ask them what they think about Jenn Tran's season, just do some man on the street kind of stuff for our YouTube channel. And the camera came. So I have the camera now. I've charged it up. I've got the mics working. And I realize I have no idea what I'm doing. I realize, how am I going to go out to the Grove, to a park, and just start walking up to strangers and accosting them about The Bachelor? And so I started writing out a document called How to Drag People into the Pit. And it's basically just a multi-step process of how to engage in a conversation with a complete stranger, A, about The Bachelor, and then B, how to convince them to, or try to convince them to watch Jenn Tran's upcoming season. I'm now generating documents about how to approach strangers to talk to them about The Bachelor in service of me making media where I'm doing that thing. This is something that I've done, dragging people into the pit and just engaging in random conversations about The Bachelor when it's completely unwarranted. I have done these things in the past, just of my own volition, without a camera, in the backseat of an Uber or at a party or whatever. Getting a colonoscopy, I did it to my nurse. One time, didn't have a camera there for that. But now I've got this camera and it changes things for me. I'm now documenting my own mania, basically. And I suppose to some degree that's what this podcast is, but at least this is formatted a little bit. We have news, we have, we're talking about parasocial plays. We have little things that we're incorporating into this that are at least news-esque. It's news to people who are in the pit, news to people who follow reality television like other people may follow sports. But now I'm doing something much more drastic, which is going into the world with a camera that I specifically bought only for this purpose to document my mania and then hopefully to pull others into that mania. I would say that qualifies as a scream. Now, let's move on. We have one more scream. Pace Case is not here this week, of course, so we're not going to get her scream. But we do have another scream that was sent to us from someone on our Patreon. If you would like to submit your own scream, you just go to patreon.com/gameofroses. You join us in the bottom of the pit. And in our Discord, which you get access to on our Patreon, there is a channel called Submit Your Screams. You just record them in a 1 minute or shorter audio format, and you upload them in that channel, and we play the best ones here. So let's take a listen to what we've got today.
Hello, Pit. My scream is not just a scream, but also a scream for help for you guys to join me in my adventure here. I am starting a D&D campaign that is the Bachelor themed. I am going to have all of my players be Bachelor contestants, all different kind of magical races. They can be dwarves and giants and halflings, and there's going to be a Bachelor elf prince, and all of my players every week on group dates are going to have to battle monsters put in there by the producers, and the producers are also, some of them are going to be evil and working against the contestants, and it's going to be this whole long campaign. And what I need help with is I'm going to give my players special skills to use, such as tier play, sensuality, drama starting. What special skills do I need my players to successfully win the D&D Bachelor campaign? Thank you for your help.
This has been my pleasure to help. I play Dungeons & Dragons with some friends of mine. I have played Dungeons & Dragons on and off since I was a teen. And this is not the first time that I've heard somebody asking about a D&D campaign that is based on The Bachelor, believe it or not. I've had many DMs to this end over the years. This is what I would say. Thank you for the scream, first of all. I would say this is like a second level scream. This is definitely after you realize your Bachelor fandom is taking over your life. Now it's starting to seep into your other things that you do for fun. You can't even play Dungeons & Dragons now without it being Bachelor related. That's a second level scream. To answer your question, here's what I would say. Here are the skills that you should allow your players to have. You should give someone the ability to steal. And I would say that this is probably going to be a kind of saving type thing, where if one of the other players in your party is about to die at the hands of one of these monsters, they can steal that player out of combat, saving them from the death. So, I don't want to get too inundated into the actual 5th edition rules and how it might work with dice rolls and stuff, but I would just say figure that one out. That's kind of a cool strategy or cool, kind of power that a player could have. I would also potentially say you could do something where some of the physical challenges, some of the forced violence, maybe forced violence is even a skill you could give to somebody that forces a certain monster to fight another monster. I'm sure you're going to have monsters that have smaller monsters with them. Maybe you could do forced violence on one of those monsters and it forces the other monster to attack the bigger monster, something like that. I would give somebody the ability to do tings, where you can give them a magic chalice or a magic wine flute, and if they hit it with the magic knife, 1, 2, 3, ting, 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 it stops all combat. So if you're in a bad way and it looks like you're just going to get rolled by some giant monster, you can come in and do the 4 tings, and it stops all combat and it saves everybody. Something like this. This is where my head is going. I hope these suggestions have been beneficial to you. Let us know how your D&D campaign is going once you guys start playing. post some pictures of it or something on your Instagram and tag us in it. I'm curious to know. But thank you very much for sending in your scream. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today for all the Bachelor Nation news, those top 5 Parasocial plays, our opening segment, State of the Game. I don't think reality TV is actually on life support. I just think all media right now is trying to figure out how to make the same kind of money it was making during the streaming boom, now that we're in that second phase where everything has kind of quieted down and these companies still need to show those shareholders that the profit margins are going up, which means they're going to squeeze out everybody they can and cut budgets everywhere they can. Nonetheless, thank you again for joining me, and we will be back next week with a whole new slate of shows. We hope you will join us for those as well.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us, and then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us, and then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us, and then